Liability based on representation. Defendant may be liable if a product falls short of an affirmative representation made to buyer. Express warranty is a statement of material fact or promise regarding goods sold that became part of the basis of the bargain. Any consumer or bystander can sue for breach. Bystanders need not have relied on the express warranty as long as the original purchaser did. Elements are the same as for implied warranties. They include 1. Express warranty relied upon by the purchaser. 2. Breach, product fails to live up to the warranty. 3. Causation, actual and proximate. 4. Damages, personal property and economic loss. Defenses, assumption of the risk, contributory and comparative negligence. Misrepresentation of fact. Seller will be liable for any misrepresentation made in the course of a sale if 1. Seller made a misrepresentation regarding a material fact concerning the quality or use of the goods. 2. Seller intended to induce reliance by buyer. And 3. Misrepresentation induced justifiable reliance. Note, for strict liability, the buyer need not rely on misrepresentation for the seller to be liable. Nuisance is an intentional invasion of either public or private property rights that substantially and unreasonably interferes with the peaceful and quiet enjoyment of these rights. Note, nuisance is a harm caused by tort, not a tort itself. Private nuisance is a substantial, unreasonable interference with another individual's use or enjoyment of her property. Substantial interference must be offensive, annoying, or inconvenient to the average person in the community. Interference is not substantial if plaintiff is hypersensitive or using property for a specialized abnormal purpose. Unreasonable interference. Severity of plaintiff's injury must outweigh the utility of defendant's conduct. Note, an interference can be substantial, but not unreasonable. Trains pass through the center of the city and are required by safety regulations to blow their horns at crossings. Private nuisance, unreasonable interference with health, safety, or property rights of the community at large. Recovery is only available to a private party if she suffered unique damages not suffered by the public at large. Government usually brings public nuisance suit. Potential remedies include monetary damages and injunctive relief. Defenses. Plaintiff cannot recover if he came to the nuisance, brought property next door to a copper smelting plant, as an example. Vicarious liability arises when the defendant commits a tort against a plaintiff and a third person is held liable due to his relationship with the defendant. Respondent superior is when employers are liable for torts committed by employees with the scope of their employment. Intentional torts usually outside the scope unless A, the job requires use of force like a bouncer, B, the job entails creating friction like a bail bondsman, Or C, intentional tort is done to further the employer's goals, like physically breaking up a fight in a store. Independent contractors are employers are generally not liable for torts committed by independent contractors, except for acts that are inherently dangerous or duties that are non-delegable. Businesses that hold property open to the public have a non-delegable duty to keep premises safe for customers. Partnership. Each partner is vicariously liable for any other partner's tort committed within the scope of the partnership. Parent-child. Parents are not liable for their children's torts, but parents may be separately negligent if they had reason to know the child's propensity to injure or they facilitated the tort. Tavern keepers. Our businesses serving alcohol may be liable for injuries caused by intoxicated patrons if it was negligent in serving the patrons, usually depending on the wording in the state's dram shop statute. Joint and several liability arises if the actor of two or more defendants combine to produce a single indivisible injury. Each defendant is jointly and severally liable for the entire harm if his actions were a factor in bringing about the plaintiff's injury. Note, most states have replaced traditional joint and several liability with apportionment of damages among multiple defendants by percentages of fault. Defendants acting in concert. If two or more defendants act in concert and injure plaintiff, each is joint and severally liable for plaintiff's entire injury. Applies even if injury and defendant's culpability is divisible. Satisfaction. If plaintiff recovers fully from one defendant, she may not recover more from a jointly liable defendant. Contribution. Defendant who pays more than her share of damages under joint and several liability can assert a claim against jointly liable parties for the excess paid. Not applicable to intentional tort liability. Contribution is usually imposed in proportion to relative fault. Indemnity involves shifting the entire loss between or amongst defendants. Available by contract in vicarious liability situations or under strict products liability.